ஹலோ, யாரு? தன்ராஜா? நான் தான் ராமசாமி பேசுறேன்.
Hello, welcome to Anga Pesalam. Today my guest, my brother-in-law Somasekhar. Hello, Atta.
Hello, Sridhar. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm doing good.
You've been doing this for now?
For 2 years now, 2.5 years now.
Oops.
Yeah, 2.5 years now.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So
2.5
one year and 50 weeks. So in 2.5 years, you've crossed 100 episodes.
Not 100. I think I'm at like 80, I believe. Last year was kind of slow. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure out why. The first year was really fast. I did like 50 episodes in the first year. Second year, I went into 30. I don't know why. I had to figure that out. Maybe not good movies or not many topics, so that could be it. We'll see. But anyway, I mean, I don't do that frequent as I want to. So it is kind of happening slowly. But yeah, but it's kind of interesting. We get to discuss a lot of things. I try to understand a lot of things from other people's point of view. It's kind of interesting to do this. Yep.
So I mean, why do you do this?
Why do I do this?
Uh,
It's mainly because I love movies, number one. Right? And I love movies. And I love discussing movies with other people. Right? So just to get the idea, like what is their thought process too. And even when I watch a movie, I have so many questions, right? So even like Harini has explained like a lot of things about some shows I watched. Varshini has explained. Sometimes the other people, Arun's sister, like she explained a lot of new things. It's all kind of interesting. Oh yeah, that's what it makes sense. And there was an episode I did with Harini about Ted Lasso, I think last year. And both me and Harini, like we had a question about like one particular scene. And then we didn't know the answer, we just left it off. After a week, somebody commented about that scene on the chat. Oh, wow. I thought it's Rose, actually. I thought it was Rose who's commenting on the chat. But then no, it's some person, some person who saw the episode, and then she answered, oh, yeah. Like, wow. I never even thought about that. Okay. So yeah, in a way that. And the other point is I get to connect with people, right? I don't think I'll be able to talk to Arun's sister anytime even then. But now I did like 3 episodes with her. I have a nice connection with her. Same with all the other people, like Preeta's cousins. So a lot of things. It kind of helps me like to keep them close, to know people. And last but not least, it's a good time pass. You know what I mean? It's like a very good time pass for me.
Yeah.
It's a good time pass for me. You know what I'm saying? I can spend some time with the people. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, that's good. So today we're going to discuss the Oppenheimer, right? The most awaited movie for a long time. So you saw the movie. You saw the movie, right? So what are your first thoughts about after watching the movie?
I think after watching the movie, there were so many thoughts. Of course, the big thing is, dropping an atomic bomb on a country and, what happened to that country. The World War ended. And then of the movie itself, I had a feeling like we watched 2 movies or 2 stories.
Yeah.
One is the story of the making of the atomic bomb and putting it. And the other is the story of Oppenheimer. And he's a very complicated character and what all he faces. So I think the movie managed to convey both the stories in a very interesting manner. Yeah, I mean, at the heart of the movie, it is a biopic.
Yeah, it's a biopic. Yeah,
it's a biopic movie, but I mean, it follows the trajectory of typical biopic movies. Where he was born, where he went to school, what happened. What are the key things in life? Then who are the key relationships? How the career is built? What issues he faced? What challenges? And how it ends, kind of thing. So I think I had so many thoughts because it was a very anticipated movie, because Christopher Nolan's movie normally you don't get it.
Yeah.
When you watch it for the first time, you normally don't get it. I actually watched Interstellar many times and I'm still not sure I get it 100%. I mean, exactly right. So whereas this time, I must say, there was no complication in the storytelling. It's a fairly straightforward storytelling, so people get it.
Yeah.
I think the one question that came up was, I mean, there are many things positive about the movie, but does this story demand an IMAX? I think that was one question that was.
That was one thing. That was the one thing, and I think for me the one thing which is kind of a disappointer was the whole the Trinity bomb scene. Right, when the bomb explodes, I was expecting like the typical Hollywood, wow, all the sound effects and all those things. But when the bomb actually exploded, it's for like quiet for like 3 minutes, right? There is no sound, just visuals. That all the bombs fired, everything, and then like we get the what do you say, the sound effects after that. So that was kind of, I thought it'd be like a huge thing with all the glory and all those things.
So
But
I think it had the desired impact.
impact, yeah,
And I must say the scene before the bomb, the anticipation, the
yeah,
countdown.
countdown.
I think that what do you call, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, and you also get the same experience. You know, hey, what's going to happen? Will it go well? Will it not go well? Will there be any other? So the directors managed to create that experience among the viewers, and and I must say that the movie was very good on three layers. The first layer is the story itself. You know, everybody wants to know how was the first atomic bomb made, done, who did it, and all that. The second layer is the dialogue. I mean, this movie has very powerful
Powerful
dialogues.
dialogue, yeah.
And I think it made it easier with the English subtitle in IMAX, which we watched, made it easier. The third important layer is the music, the background music.
Yeah.
At times, it's too noisy. It's too loud and too noisy. But I think the impact, since most of the movie is got a very loud, impactful, and tapping the feet and all that is what you call high decibel music there. When the bomb test, the Trinity test site, they make it quiet. The impact is phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, I read online that is like you said, that is the effect that he wanted, because in real life, when the bomb exploded, there was no sound for for a couple of seconds or whatever. The sound needs to travel, right? They are far away. The sound needs to travel. So that's how they first see the huge fireball flash and everything. And then it takes a while for the sound to reach them. And that is the same kind of effect like he wanted to have in the movie, which kind of makes sense, though, which kind of makes sense. So, but we're able to follow all the different timelines. One of the biggest critic is that there's like too confusing, black and white, color, multiple timelines, different years, all those things. We're able to follow all those in the movie when you saw the movie.
In a manner, yes. Except there was one doubt whether the first scene that happens when Oppenheimer, when what do you call that Robert Downey. What's his name? The character name is
Strauss, Louis Strauss.
Strauss. Strauss is inviting Oppenheimer and saying, "This is the
thing." Yeah.
You're going to stay. You've got 2 children and things like that." Then you realize this meeting, did it take place after the test?
Yes, after the test.
After the nuclear bomb went like that. When the movie ends, then yes, it happened. But initially, you get a feeling like, okay, did this happen before? Okay. But I think I like that they made black and white. Most of the scenes when Strauss is there, it's on black and white.
Yeah.
And in a manner, okay, this is the underlying politics and the tension between the two key people. One is trying to produce a bomb, and others trying to be the politician, trying to take advantage and career and things like that. So I think it was less confusing because you expect Christopher Nolan's movie to be really so heavy that you need to interpret it and watch it once or twice. But this time it was pretty straightforward. I think we could get it. To me, the big highlight was that scene, almost the last scene, when Strauss is thinking that Oppenheimer was determined to destroy him from the very first meeting, and his assistant opens the door and says, "No, maybe they were discussing something more important and nothing maybe connected with you." And then they actually show the scene when Oppenheimer goes to meet Albert Einstein, and that's when you know what actually happened.
Yeah.
And that time, Albert Einstein says, you're going to get a medal, but the medal is given for their own benefit, and they will crucify you.
Yeah. And then
And
they'll give the medal.
I mean, Albert Einstein's words were so prescient that he could predict what is going to happen and how it is going to happen to you. So, and then the movie ends, it hits you.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that was a phenomenal ending. Phenomenal ending.
Now, if you think about it, the whole scenario happened because of simple misunderstanding or simple insecurity on like Louis Strauss' part. Like he was thinking that Oppenheimer was gossiping about him to Einstein and all those things, but nothing like that happened. So the entire hearing, the whole bogus hearing, the whole scenario of them, apparently that hearing is how they found out most of the information about Oppenheimer, about his affairs, about his thing, lot of things, it came out to public because of this bogus hearing. If not, like nobody would have known about Gene Tatlock, nobody would have known about a lot of things about Oppenheimer because he's a very closed person, right? Because of this hearing, because it was made public, because of everything, the entire history of Oppenheimer came out, like in front of his wife too, right? Like she's sitting there, they are talking about his love life, they're talking about his affair, everything. All because of this one guy who thought Oppenheimer was gossiping about him to Einstein, which never happened. That is amazing to think about. Amazing to think about that.
I think that is where a good director leaves you thinking. Hey, this whole fight between the two big people was completely unwarranted. But ultimately, they say administrators and politicians and policymakers win over scientists or defense people and people who really do the real things. They are happy doing the real thing, but the politician and the administrator and the policymaker, they are more manipulative, and they want to manipulate it for their own personal gain. For their personal gain. So, I mean, yet again, it proves that the politician, pushes and does things for his own personal gain. Unlike the scientist, or in other movies, you find real-time war heroes. They do what is required for the country.
Yeah, I know. So regarding the timeline, I mean, after I saw the movie, obviously, I went and read about everything. So what they're saying is, whenever the movie is in color, it's from Robert Oppenheimer's point of view. Whenever the movie is in black and white, it's based on Louis Strauss' point of view. That is the most straightforward thing. And that it keeps jumping up and down. The Cambridge, it happens in 1922 when he was studying there, which is pretty clear, right? Because the flashback, right? The current timeline of the movie is the actual hearing that Oppenheimer is just going, right? So from that only, like where we go through the whole Manhattan Project and all those things, and the Louis Strauss, like you asked before, so in 1947, like this Strauss is meeting Oppenheimer and then like offering the job, which is long after the bomb has been exploded, right? Long after 49. Apart that one thing was not clear for me was Strauss get mad because Oppenheimer like humiliates him in some hearing. He makes fun of Strauss in some hearing. Which is what I'm trying to read more. I cannot find the exact details as to what was said and what happened. So that is one of the main points, though. So he's already mad that Oppenheimer has been like gossiping about him to Einstein, and then Oppenheimer like makes a fool out of him in some hearing, and then everybody laughs at Strauss. He gets mad after that. Then he makes it whole life goal to destroy Oppenheimer, right? So it's so funny that hearing it's some bogus people, right? No rules. Every rule is in favor of the people like who's asking the questions. Oppenheimer lawyer cannot get any documentation. He cannot do any cross. He cannot do anything. They cannot say anything to defend himself. Every question will be asked by him. That is so amazing to see. And he's a hero too, right? Oppenheimer is a great hero of the country, who even though like he created the bomb, but he saved like millions of people because of that. He stopped a war, a lot of things, but still like they did not care, right? They went at him oh my God, that was crazy to watch actually.
But I must say equally, Oppenheimer is a complicated character.
He's a complicated, very complicated.
You don't want to be the nuclear scientist for your country developing the atomic bomb and still have, what you call not doing the politically right things. You can't be then saying I'm communist, I have friends with communists, I'm still friends with communists. I mean, if in any country, if you are the scientist who's called upon to do something for your country, that definitely takes precedence over personal liking, personal
I
dislike,
understand.
my past. At some time, you cut off everything and saying, no, I'm just going to do this. My past is past. But I think in Oppenheimer's case, I don't know why he didn't. I mean, I've not been able to understand why, when you're doing the most important thing for your country, and you didn't think that takes precedence and let me, you know, stay within that. And I
Yeah.
think that's where he complicated life is himself, and also his all his affairs and all the other things just makes he becomes an easy target.
Yeah. I think
He
maybe like
becomes
that is what like he's a very complicated person, right? He's a very complicated person, and people like him who are very smart, very over the top, and all those people, they tend to have all these kind of issues, right? I mean, if you take all the great people, all the great scientists, poets, and everybody, they all have like weird life, right? Weird habits, weird thoughts, weird life. So I mean, that's what it is with him too. And he was a huge womanizer, apparently. He had a lot of affairs, but he also a very smart guy. He knows like 7 languages, right? He was learning Sanskrit. Right, he was learning Sanskrit, which is totally out of the box, right?
I mean you're very right. Actually, when he was in Europe, he gives a speech
In Dutch,
in Dutch,
Dutch.
in Dutch, and he learned Dutch in 4 weeks.
Crazy. That is crazy.
I mean, he's truly genius. I mean, if you can learn a language and speak quantum mechanics in that
In that
language,
language,
I mean, you have to be genius.
genius. Maybe I think
So
like all the genius people have this kind of eccentricities, right? So they all have this kind of things which they need to, I don't know what to focus on the tasks. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But again, that's what led to his downfall too. Like you said, he was a very easy target, very, very easy target. All they had to point was to this one girlfriend, Jean Tatlock, who was a known communist. That's all they had to do. That's it. She was done, which Strauss knew too. Which Strauss knew about everything about him. Which is crazy. But the other critic I saw online was that scene, that nude scene, sex scene, was even required in the movie, right? It was sort of totally out of place. I didn't even understand what's the purpose of it. So, what is like your thought on that? Do you think like we need to see all those things, or no? That movie, I think it was like not needed. That movie.
very, very true. I think well, the rest of the movie is often a different tone and a different level of communication. There's no need for that scene to do that. Very
Yeah,
true.
apparently, like there are some protests in India about he's like quoting the Bhagavad Gita when he's having sex with somebody. People got mad and everything. I don't know what's going
That
on.
is true. That is true. Absolutely. Because Bhagavad Gita is considered as the
Book. Yeah.
Bible in India, and you don't show the Bible in the middle of two people having a physical relation. That is true.
But I mean, but in a way, I think again it shows as part of his the crazy qualities that he had. Right, he wanted to have a free life. He wanted to have free thoughts. He didn't want like people controlling him. Right, he even gets married to his wife, who was already married 2 times. Right, she's a divorcee twice. He still marries her. Right, but I mean, did you think the movie was too long? A 3-hour movie? You think it was too long?
Yeah, it was too long because they are trying to tell two stories. If they had attempted to tell only the Oppenheimer, the nuclear scientist, uh, I mean, the Time magazine calls him the father of the atomic bomb, then that story is only the science and the quantum. But then they showed all the politics between AEC chairman and this person, and that's when the story gets really complicated. But I think, I guess you have to give credit to Christopher Nolan that he projected or gave the version which is the real version. A lot of people, when they make a biopic, they try to glorify the character,
Yeah.
or they show only a certain part of the life history which glorifies the character. I think that happens often in India. When they show MGR or Karnanidhi or Jayalalitha, they don't show the full life
Full
history
life.
from
Yeah.
birth to death. They take only a part of it which glorifies the character. Whereas in Oppenheimer's case, where Christopher Nolan is done, he didn't try to glorify him. He's already achieved glory. But he managed to show the gray side or the underbelly of Oppenheimer as it is or as the facts would be. And then you also know scientists go through the same difficulty of politics dealing with policymakers. The scientific community itself is quite divided, whether to do the hydrogen bomb, not do the hydrogen bomb. Is this the only way to do it, or is there many other ways to do it? I guess that kind of, that kind of intellectual challenge happens normally. It could happen in business, it could happen in academics, but that is understandable. But I think this movie managed to bring out at the peak of World War, the peak of atomic bomb, there's so much conflict. Who's bigger, who's powerful, who needs to get power, who wants to get promoted. I mean, the politics is never removed in our lives.
Yeah, I know.
I think in everybody's life, politics is everyday thing. Somebody's trying to make a point, somebody's trying to prove a point.
Yeah, I mean, even the administrators, I mean, there is one scene where they are trying to find out the targets to bomb, right? And the guy says, like, don't bomb Kyoto because, like, I went on honeymoon to Kyoto. That is the criteria for not bombing Kyoto. That is absolutely nuts. And I saw the list too. Yeah.
We were discussing about this yesterday after the movie. The Oppenheimer tells the chief of military was a Matt Damon, whose character Matt Damon plays.
Groves,
Leslie
Groves. Leslie Groves, the character, yeah.
Leslie Groves. So he asks him, what is the downside that something else can happen? It's near zero. And then he says, I hope you won't blow up the world. What struck me, Sridhar? It was very clear before the atomic bomb was deployed, Hitler died. World War II was at its tail.
Yeah.
Japan was still fighting, but it was still a weakened Japan. They did not blink an eyelid to say, hey, maybe we don't have to use it because it's too powerful. Because if the scientific community themselves do not know that it can blow up the world, hey, you're trying to destroy humanity.
Yeah, humanity. No,
but they didn't. It didn't bother them at all.
Yeah.
Both the scientific community and the political leadership didn't bat an eyelid. But I'll tell you where I feel. That's when America wanted to prove we are the most powerful. How do you show power? You go do this, then you've arrived.
Yeah, that's what it is. No, but thing is, the main reason for dropping the bomb is because the Japanese emperor refused to surrender, right? His honor, his thing, whatever it was, he said, I'm not going to surrender. So that's why even though like Hitler was dead, Japan was still fighting. Even though in a weakened state, they still kept on fighting.
No, but even if Japan was fighting, I'm just saying, just for our discussion's sake, I'm saying, there was no room for diplomacy. There's no room for dialogue. And Japan is not going to be a threat to America because, even back in 1940, though they did bomb Pearl Harbor, it was not a real threat to America to say, no, I need to go drop this on Japan because Japan will destroy America. No, that's not the case. If you see the World War, the most intense period was when Germany invaded Poland and then they invaded France and they almost invaded UK. UK was so imminent that UK will get annexed by Germany, but UK didn't put an atomic bomb. America was so far away from the war. So that kind of left a mind saying, hey, the man becomes so obsessed that I can build a bomb. I have the technology, I have the knowledge, I have the power. In fact, I like the scene when Oppenheimer goes to meet the president and he tells the president, I have like blood on my hands. And then the president was very, very sharp. That dialogue was so good. Hey, nobody in Japan is going to remember who made the bomb. They're going to curse the guy who dropped the bomb, which is the president. So that was a good scene. And I think that's another example of a very good dialogue. But it did bother me that there was no what you call among the decision makers, they didn't even consider saying, no, I think let's hold it back.
But no, the main thing is, even though like Japan was weak, they were still fighting small wars here and there, which meant America had to defend, which meant America had to send soldiers there, which meant American soldiers could die in some vague battle here and there, which they just wanted to stop the war. That's it. They want to stop the war, and they want to prove to the world that we are the superior force. And they did, like you said, they didn't bat an eyelid, right? They even thought of bombing Tokyo, but apparently Tokyo was already destroyed with all the Allied bombing, and like they wouldn't have known the difference whether destruction was caused by the bomb or by a previous bombing, right? The reason Hiroshima was chosen because it was a military industrial complex, totally like what do you say, a clean city, with not many destroyed buildings, and they wanted to prove that we can drop a bomb, and like we will drop a bomb, and we won't stop at anything. And apparently, the first one was a trial. Second one was to show that we can do it again, And there's a speech by Truman. I saw the Truman movie itself. The speech he's saying, we have many more of these bombs, and we'll continue dropping these bombs until like you surrender. The statement made by the American president, right? We have more bombs. We will keep dropping until you surrender. There are like 9 cities, right, on the list. Kyoto was gone, Tokyo was gone, and there are 7 more left, and they took off 2, and there are another 5 more to go, apparently. So then they surrendered. The Japanese, they are like, they couldn't go on any further. Apparently, there was a thought of invading Japan too. America thought of invading Japan, and there was a plan on going there, but it was too expensive, and the casualty was too much. And the Japanese are very proud people, and they're going to defend with everything they've got. It's going to cost a lot of loss of American lives. So instead of losing so many American lives, they thought we can just kill up, like millions of Japanese, and we can stop the war. That's what it is. It's nuts. I mean, to me, it was shocking thing was the bomb was brought within a month after the Trinity test. So within a month, they were able to develop 2 more bombs, transport it from New Mexico in a very interior part in the US to somewhere in Japan. They were able to ship it. They were able to fit it to a plane. I'm saying, they're able to do all these things within a month, right? It shows how advanced they were, what kind of technology they had. It's crazy, right? It's amazing.
I mean, back then to spend $2 billion.
Too much.
To me, today it's like $200 billion.
Yeah, too much. Yeah, ridiculous. A lot of money. I mean, at the end of the day, we can say the pros and cons, right? They stopped a war. So technically, according to the president, like no more American life was killed. Was like his argument. I don't want to write letters to parents saying like your son was killed. I can stop that with this bomb. That's what his thought was. So maybe but still, if you look at the impact, it's crazy. Apparently, even if you go to the Trinity site, even today, they open it twice a year. It seems in April and October. If you go now, we can still see the radioactive thing. It seems it's crazy, actually. Crazy. So, what do you think of the performances in the movie? Who do you like the most?
I thought the casting and the performance both were fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., I've been a big fan of Robert Downey Jr. I think his role in Iron Man is something my most favorite character in Avengers. I was so impressed to see him in a very different shade. In a very different shade.
Yeah.
I think he did well. Oppenheimer, being the protagonist, I think he had a big role. I think his wife played a very powerful.
Emily Blunt was the name.
Yeah, she played very well. I think nearly all the characters played well, including Robert Downey Jr.'s the junior staff, the last guy. He came only for 10 seconds in the last scene, but he made a big impact. I mean, he opens the door and says, maybe they were not discussing something about you, and they were discussing something more important. I think that was.
No, but that guy is being put on to help Strauss navigate this political structure. But Strauss already like playing the game. He didn't know about that. He's already playing the game perfectly, right? He's a mastermind behind the entire thing.
In fact, he says, I didn't realize how naive I have been. Kind of. And that's when he says, no, I'm not going to support this. I think that's where you can see his body language and his performance was very clear. He said no. I think later in the hearing they speak against Strauss. So I think casting and performance was very, very good, very well done. I thought if there's one thing which was not so well was Albert Einstein's casting and his.
Casting.
They
I mean,
showed it
there
a
isn't
little-
like not many people who can play that character. You know, I think like that is as close as we're going to get with that guy. I mean, I can even think of. I mean, there was a show on Discovery about Einstein, and maybe they're going to use that guy. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, I don't. I mean,
No, his hair looked a little fake, and I think somewhere. But when the movie ends, you're actually thinking about Albert Einstein as much as Oppenheimer,
yeah.
because he was so prescient to say this is what is going to happen.
Yeah.
He predicted it.
Yeah.
And we waited 3 hours for it to see what happens, and then we come to the same point. I think that was a aha moment, actually.
So, what else are you watching right now? What are the movies you saw recently?
No, actually, I watched Mission Impossible.
Okay. It was okay. It's okay. I mean, it seems like they had like the movies about like 7 or 8 stunts mixed with the 5 dialogues. That's what I felt like.
I felt there was not enough real story and real
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
movement there. I
Yeah.
think even if you do Tom Cruise and IMAX and the best of the stunt, if you really don't have an interesting plot and interesting story, you can't carry the story for long. And I think the last scene when the train is collapsing, hey, we have seen this for 50 years. I mean, there's nothing new. You know, you're falling off the train and you're saving yourself. Hey, those scenes have been seen 50 years back.
Many.
So it was okay. It was okay.
It's okay. Maybe we'll see. Maybe the part 2 is better than the part 1. We'll see what happens.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you for joining today. Okay.
I mean, like you said, you like discussing movies. I think the same is true for me. But I think I'm obviously one layer less than you. You put in more effort to experience the movie and speak about it. I do less than you because I'm very choosy in watching movies. You know?
Oh, really? Okay.
I really want to be sure that it is going to be a good experience. There is something that about the movie that will stay with me that I like about it. So I'm very choosy. I'll wait for it and then be sure. But I think Christopher Nolan, you can't get better than that. I think his storytelling, his visuals, his shots, his the overlay of dialogue with music. Oh, that is all unique. In fact, I found the movie a little noisy, not to the best of my liking. Too much of noise in the background, and also it leaves you very busy. You know, for everything Oppenheimer's thinking, he's visualized it. You know.
Guys, I know what you mean.
So sometimes you like a biopic which leaves you understanding the person deeper, what he's thinking and what he's feeling, rather than trying to be busy. I think that was my experience. Maybe that is the way Christopher Nolan tells the story. But biopic, you really want to know what that man is experiencing. You know, you want to be in his shoes for 3 hours.
See, in that point of view, I think like the Gandhi's movie was amazing movie. The Gandhi movie was one of the greatest biopic I've seen. Even though it was done by one of the greatest biopic I've seen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because typically when they make a biopic, if a person lived 60 to 80 years and you have to tell a story in let's say 2 to 3 hours, you only pick 3 or 4 instances of his life. And through those moments and instances, you bring out the full life and character.
Yeah.
You don't actually go through from the age of 20 to 80 and then say what all happened in his life. So to that extent, I found Oppenheimer to be a very busy movie. You know, it's like you would have seen like 1 million shots in those 3 hours.
I mean, I think like they had to cover everything. Right? He wanted to tell the entire story from start to finish. That's what his point. I think which he accomplished. Maybe for some people it could have been a long movie, but according to him, he told everything what he's supposed to say. So that's all he cares about. Yeah. Anyway, thank
I
you.
think the other scene that on the dialogue, I think one of the ladies asked him, "What is quantum mechanics?" or something like that. I think how often do you get to see a movie where somebody tries to explain what is quantum mechanics? There's a genuine effort to say, we are all atoms, and you and I are standing here. We are holding a glass. We are thinking we are holding a glass, but at an atomic level, it's a very different thing. Very, very nice. To that extent, I think Christopher Nolan virtually has done a research and PhD on the subject before he can, bring it to life.
Yeah.
So
Obviously.
I think Christopher Nolan himself has done extensive research to bring out every nuance of the movie and the character to us.
Hello. Thank you for watching my video. Please hit like and subscribe and keep watching. Thank you very much.